Hello, y'all, and welcome to another gathering of the Lowcountry Book Club. I'm Susan Boyer, and I write Seaside Southern Mysteries set in the beautiful South Carolina Lowcountry.
And I'm Susan Zurenda, and I write literary fiction, I suppose you'd say, always with a southern setting.
Okay. All right, so we're here today to talk to T.I. Lowe about our March book of the month, South of Somewhere, which we have read and enjoyed, and a lot of folks in the group have, and we've had a lot of discussion, questions,
and it's set in Sullivan's Island, which is one of Susan's settings for her book.
Yes,
and a favorite place of mine where I wish I had been in the recent past. I need to go there.
I need to go back too. I need a visit to Sullivan's Island. Anyway, we're coming to you from the Piedmont Club, so if you hear a little background noise, just imagine us doing very serious literary work.
While we enjoy this lunch. That's what we're going to really be doing.
Okay. We're going to say a little bit about the book before we start having lunch.
Okay. It's a story of Jenny Wilder, who is a young mother trying to rebuild her life after alcohol addiction. And during this process, because of her addiction, her young daughter has been taken from her. And so she is, in this novel, trying to find a way forward, one step at a time.
And the members of our group had quite a lot to say about this one, so we're looking forward to this conversation with the author. And we will be back shortly after we enjoy our lunch to chat more.
See you soon.
We are back. Cynthia and I have had our lunch, and we're now enjoying dessert at Piedmont Club. And Tanya has just joined us. Everybody welcome T.I. Lowe, the author of this month's book, South of Somewhere. And I just asked her, and she has given her permission. I'm going to call her Tanya because, I don't know.
That's my name, right? Sometimes I'm not sure what my name is, but yeah, today I'm Tanya or T.I., but yeah, Tanya. I wish I was with you up the road from me about 4 hours so I could have some dessert with you. It looks good. The only thing, a Coke Zero is going to be my dessert today.
Oh, mercy. Well, next time you put a book out, we'll have to arrange for you to come up here and join us.
Exactly.
I will. I'm going to be in your area in September. We're to try to do something then.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a great idea. We need to do that. Okay, so Tanya, we know that you are a best-selling author of 21 novels. Is that right? 21, or is this number?
That's
20?
right. That's 21. Mm-hmm.
Wow. You live in coastal South Carolina. We won't be too specific. But where are you originally from? Who are your people?
Well, my people are the Stevens people, and they are farmers. And I'm in a little town called Lowe. And I told you where I'm at, but I've been born and raised here all my life. Okay. I went away for about a year to college in Tennessee, but I was homesick. I had to come back home.
Well, I think that's wonderful to be able to be raised in a small town and still live in that. I was raised in a small town, but I don't still live in that small town, and I do miss it a lot of times. And
where were you raised?
Faith, North Carolina. It is very, the Buckies in Florence, they have more population than the little town I grew up in.
Oh, my small hometown in this one.
Okay. So, Tanya, what first sparked the idea for South of Somewhere and Jenny's journey in particular?
Well, my family, we have dealt with loved ones that they battle alcoholism, drug abuse, and it's kind of isolating because you think not a lot of families go through this. But I started doing research on it about two and a half years ago, and there was a study done in 2023 where 1 in 4 children, they have at least one parent at home struggling with substance abuse.
Wow.
And so it really opened my eyes that this wasn't just a struggle my family was going through. A lot of people were going through. And it's something I try to do with my books is it's always something I want to understand better. I probably shared this quote with you before, and I've shared it with several, but it's really a quote that I live by as a writer, and it's writers do not write to be understood; we write to understand. And so this idea just opened up the whole story idea of Junie, and something that us writers get to do that's very magical is that we can give a character a happy ending when we cannot do that for in reality. So that's the spark of this idea about Junie.
Great. I love that
Yeah.
quote, because I think I always learn from my characters and what they go through. I absolutely do. And that leads into the next question. You often explore redemption in your story.
Yeah.
So the take that you have on redemption here in this book, is it similar to or different from what you've written before? Commonalities, or are there things that are unique with Junie's redemption?
When I look at redemption stories, they all have a something in common. It's a character is going through something, whether it was self-inflicted or not, circumstances, and it's their journey of changing it. The whole idea of redemption is you might be heading in one direction, you have to turn and start heading in the other direction. And for Junie, that was she's made a lot of mistakes. She's only, I believe, 26, and I have to say that because, as you know, as a writer, I'm already in the trenches of another story now. So I have to start thinking like, well, how old is Junie? I might forget, but she's 26, and she has lived a lot of life for a 26-year-old. And you think, I mean, because she has a daughter, she's a widow, she has made some terrible mistakes already in her life. And, the whole idea of nowadays children have to grow up too fast, and adulthood is just like, tossed on you at a very young age. I don't know why life decided that once you're an adult, it wants to snatch your fun card away, so to speak. Adulting can be hard. And Junie, she's, she made some mistakes. She lost custody of her daughter due to drunk driving, and it's her whole situation of just trying to get her life back on track. And even if you've not gotten a DUI or you've not had the struggles as her, I hope that readers, the takeaway of it is while we're still breathing, we have hope. And you ladies are South Carolinians as well, and that's our state motto is while I breathe, I still hope.
Right. Exactly. Wonderful. Several readers were struck by how authentic the recovery journey felt, and you've already alluded to this, but we could maybe mention it again. Did that come from personal experience, knowing someone close to you, primarily from research? I think you've kind of said that it's a combination of
yeah
things.
And at first, so if some stories I'll write it in the family's perspective of something that someone's going through, like with Under the Magnolias, the father, he was the one battling a situation with mental illness. And when I started doing the research for that book, I looked at, was I going to write this story from Dave's point of view? But it ended up being his oldest daughter's point of view. Well, when I went into this story, I've already lived Junie's brother's side of the story, Cy. He's the one that's got custody of her daughter. He's the one that's trying to make Junie get better, and he don't understand it, so to speak. And there was times in my life with my loved one, I didn't understand it, why she couldn't get better, why she didn't get help. And so I decided I wanted to write it in Junie's perspective, and it really helped me heal in that process. And so it was very personal this time.
Yeah. So it's just through Junie, you saw what your own loved one was going through and made it real. for you. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And
And
like
the
right, you
Yeah.
did a really good job with that.
well, thank you. It was, and the whole, I think after you leave rehab, the relapse percentage is, I think, 70% relapse. And the thing about it is, someone that's dealing with addiction can go get help, but they have to deal with it for the rest of their life.
That's right.
So another thing that I hope readers can take away from it is to have more empathy for someone going through that. Every day they're gonna struggle with that for the rest of their life. They're gonna wake up and say, "Is today the day I'm going to stay clean, or is today the day that I'm going to give in to this urge, this deep urge to have a drink or to take a pill or to do something else?" And if we don't have that, we don't understand it.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, if you don't, you don't. So, and so this book is then a book about second chances, and to be those in the 30%, I guess you'd say, who make it.
Yeah.
I guess, what other, like, have you had second chances in your life? Or I guess we could say that the loved one whom was in your mind when you wrote about Junie, have those second chances paid off?
Well, and this, you talk about second chances, and I've written a few second chance romances. Lowcountry Lost was a second chance romance, and I love that idea of couples having a second chance. But this time, giving a woman a second chance meant a lot to me. And sadly, my loved one died of a drug overdose 3 years ago, and so she did, and I want to celebrate her because she was a great woman, good Christian woman. She just went down the road of, and it started in the 90s, in the late 90s, where she fell and hurt her knee. And then the next thing you know, she went to the nurse room and they gave her a prescription. Well, then not too long after that, she hurt her back. Another painkiller prescription. And it just escalated from there. And I blame Big Pharma, if you want my honest opinion about it, because the doctors just being so willy-nilly back then, writing these prescriptions like, it was candy, and it sent her down a journey, a dark, dark journey that she never saw coming.
Yeah.
And she just couldn't overcome it.
Yeah. And she was vulnerable to the disease. It was there. It was there.
Yeah.
And when it raised its ugly head, it took hold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Junie is such a layered character. What did you most want readers to understand about her, not just her struggles, but who she is at her core?
And thank you for bringing that up, because that's the thing. There, you might see a mugshot on TV of this drunk mother driving under the influence with a child in the backseat, or you might see, another headline of a woman's mistake or a man's mistake, for that matter. You don't see the person behind it, and the person behind Junie is so much more than her mistakes. We all are so much more than our mistakes, and so that's she is a very talented artist, and she's a very determined woman to, even at her young age. And I say young because 26. I'm about to be 50, so just be 26. I don't know if I want to go back to 26. It was hard to be 26. It's hard to be 50. So anyway, but a lot of life lessons since then. But I think about she's got so much more about her than just that addiction. So I really wanted to highlight that. Like, she has great empathy for others. She's very sweet to the dogs that she walks, and she's very determined to make a living, whether she has to dog walk to begin with because no one wants to hire a felon, and then she puts the effort in to start her hat company. So it's all this. It just is to highlight that there's so much more to someone than just what you see. And Susan Boyer, Susan with a B, you've written books set on Sullivan's Island, so you know that it's a a very beautiful, pristine place. High cotton, as we say, real estate there. And so I did that intentionally too. Junie's going to be staying at her late grandmother's beach house, which her and her brother inherited. This is $1 million plus beach house. And so I did that with the purpose of showing people it's not drug addiction and alcoholism doesn't just show up in the lower class community or not just the ones on the street. It affects every class of life, every gender, both genders, and every race. I mean, it's not just for a certain set of people.
Definitely an equal opportunity.
That's right.
disease.
It's a disease, and it hits.
Yeah.
It hits whomever it hits, and whoever's got the gene and so forth.
Yeah, and but, I've had taken pain medicine after I've had surgery, and as soon as I was done with it, I didn't want it anymore. So I was just blessed that I didn't have the gene, but my loved one, same bloodline, same DNA, family, it hit her.
Right. Yeah.
And it makes me feel guilty, to be honest with you, that I didn't have to deal with it.
Well, but it's also giving you a keen understanding that it's not something, and I'm glad you said, because just because people have an addiction to alcohol or drugs doesn't mean they are not good people. It doesn't mean that they're not good people and have good intentions, but they are controlled by something beyond their control.
Right.
That's right.
Well, you mentioned going back to her grandmother's house, and even though, do I pronounce her character Ola or Ala?
Ola.
Okay,
Ola.
so
Like Olive Ole. Ola.
So even though she's dead, her presence is still there, and that idea of people in our family or even our friends shaping us is a really powerful motif. So you want to talk just a little bit about Ola's influence on Junie?
Ola is one of those great characters, even though she, as you said, has already passed, but she has such a presence in the story. And when a lot of people turned their back on Junie, Ola didn't. Ola helped her get into rehab when she overdosed. Ola was helping her set up this art studio in the attic of the house. Ola just kept trying to lift her up and push her forward and to keep her on track. And Ola reminds me a lot of my very first character in my very first book, Lulu's Cafe, and that's Lulu. And people always asking me, what's one of your favorite characters? And it would have to probably be a conglomeration of Lulu, Ola, and some of the other elderly women that I've written into my stories. And that's, I want to be a Lulu. I want to be a Ola. I want to be a woman that loves you where you're at. And so I think that's important.
Very nice.
Ola is a Southern grandmother. And I think we all agree that Southern grandmothers don't really go anywhere. I think she was there for Junie when she needed her, even after she had passed on. So that was lovely. The book introduces different kinds of support systems, some more traditional and some less so. What did you want to explore about how people find help and healing?
It's support groups and healing is not a one size fits all. And I think, I don't know for sure, but I feel like through my research and what I've read, and there was some memoirs I've read about different addicts and their struggle with it, this group's not for me, this treatment's not for me, I'm done. There's no help for me. But that's not the reality of it. There's different support groups, like there is an open support group where even if you're not dealing with addiction, you can go in and sit in the meeting so that maybe you can get more of an understanding of what's going on. Junie, she participated in one of those meetings in the book. And then there's the closed meetings where it's only those struggling with alcoholism or drug addiction can go. And there's a setting that's at a church. Then there's a setting that's in this woman's garden in downtown Charleston. She lives on Rainbow Row, and it's okay that they want to set it up as a garden party if it works for them. And it, that's the Magnolia Nephilis Society, which I adored those characters, and they're this, and it's a small support group. So I just wanted to highlight that it's not just a one size fits all, and you just, no matter, even, I mean, I struggle with my weight, and dieting is not a one size fits all. I cannot do low carb, no carbs. That makes me a very cranky old lady, and you don't want to see me that way. So I have to do more of a balanced diet, and that's you do what works for you, and so that you do same for rehabilitation.
Yeah, very good. Our members of the group, Lowcountry Book Club group, had some thoughtful discussion about Jeannie's parents, whether they really ever grow or change. And so we thought maybe you would want to talk a little bit about their arc of movement or not movement, is the case.
Yeah. Well, as writers, we get this, and as readers, we also get it because we see it in stories. Is sometimes you see people's arc, and sometimes they just don't have one. It is what it is, right? And you want to shake them. I wanted to shake Jeannie's parents, but yeah, and then it was just it was their choice of life, their way of living, and they really didn't see anything wrong with it. And sometimes you just have to accept that that's how they are. And so I left it open-ended, and just so it is a good discussion about them.
Right.
And sometimes when you're removed from a situation, like you live long distance from a loved one, you don't understand what they're going through because it's not your day to day. And so sometimes you don't have that support of your parents, like as you would think. I couldn't imagine doing that to my son and daughter. I feel like, my idea or my thinking, my way of things. My son lives in Somerville, which is about 2.5 hours from me. It's not far, but if I'm missing him, I'm going to go see him. If I'm missing him, I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to him. But that's not a lot of people's mentality. It's like, well, they need to come see me. They need to call me. I'm the opposite of it. I'm going to reach out to them and keep that communication open.
Oh, I've got a daughter in Somerville. It's the same way.
Yeah. Somerville is a happening place. It is such a beautiful town. I love visiting there.
It is beautiful.
It is. So the healing of the parents, we don't know. It's open-ended.
Just don't know. It is what it is, right?
That's exactly right.
There's also a strong thread of sibling relationships in this book. Estrangement, reconciliation. Why do you think those relationships can be so complicated?
Mine has always been complicated with my siblings, and I mean it's just and not in a bad way, or not always in a bad way. And then almost everybody I know, there's some kind of with their siblings, and I just think that's the way of life as well. It's just that's how it is. And I've highlighted a lot of relationships. The mother and the daughter strained relationship. The main character and their father's strained relationship. Their strained relationship with friends and whatnot. So I like the idea of focusing on siblings this time. Got to change it up, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And so Jeannie's brother's side gives her a pretty hard road, right? So, and I think you might have alluded to this a while back too, when you were talking about your loved one. And you may sort of kind of be in the role of side. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But so talk about why you chose that approach with side. Did you?
I was side. I was like, just suck it up and get over it and live like you got some sense, right? and that was my thinking is I'm one of these. I don't like to be complicated. Don't make drama when you don't have to. Life's hard enough. I tell my family, my children, my husband and I, Nathan and Lydia, my children, I said, there's 4 of us. It's the Lowe team. We always have to have each other's back because the world won't. And so I try to live a peaceful life. Life that doesn't always happen. And so that this was me exploring my ideas and my attitude towards a lot of things through sci, for sure.
That's what I figured.
And then when it comes down to it, there's two teams you go, or two people you can fall behind or relate to. You could be the side of the story, or you could be the Junie of the story. So there's options.
Right.
Talk to us about Gilbert. What was the inspiration for that character?
Oh gosh, I just love a good grumpy character with a lot of heart. Aren't they the funnest to explore? Even as a reader, I just love grumpy. And Indigo Isle, the main, the hero of the story, Hudson, he is a grump, and they say things that the other characters can't get away with. But she needed somebody in her corner besides a family member, and Gilbert was that for her. And I love their banter. I love their relationship and their interaction.
Is that why we like Walter? I loved Walter Matthau, or as my mother would say, Matthau, because he always played a grumpy character.
Yes, I always loved his character too. Now that you say that,
I love he played.
Me too.
So, but with Gilbert, how did you balance sort of the authority with compassion in a character like that?
Well, he was tough on her, but for her benefit, and he knew when to soften things up. I try to think of an example of when he softened things up. Like he's giving her a hard time in one of the opening scenes when they're at the Mexican restaurant, telling her she don't need to act like a nimwit. I think that's what he called her. And then but then he softened his approach, and he gave her a little bit of compassion that she needed. So he was very he would give her a little bit, but then he would toughen back up. And I think it was definitely what she needed in the story.
And one more about character. Henry isn't completely honest, with Junie, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. So how did you decide on that choice for him?
And that's the thing. And there's sometimes in our life, if you're a parent, for sure, that you hold things back from your children because you think it's for their benefit, for their sake. And Henry, he's a good old soul. The trope where it's the golden retriever trope, where the man, he's just a sweetheart, and he'll follow you around, and he's just all lovable. Well, that's what Henry was in this story. But he always did things. He might not have did things the right way, so to speak, in maybe Junie's perspective, but he always thought he was doing the right thing for her sake. So give him a little bit of leniency there.
Gotcha. Yes. And then one more from me, and then I'll turn it over to Susan, because one thing our readers really responded to was the sense of community. And I think you talked about this too, about getting help in different ways, people showing up for each other. And you live in a small town, and so is that something you experience daily? I mean, can you talk about that, the sense of community and how important that is?
Yeah, I think so. And this is one of the lessons that I have to keep learning. I do live in a small town, so everybody knows your business. And I'm not saying it's always a bad thing, but like if we lose someone, we're going through a situation where my mother-in-law is terminally ill, and she's in hospice care. And it's any day now. And even though she lives in Alabama, I live here, a lot of people reach out to me in my community and say, I'm praying for your mother-in-law. And so, but as a person, when I'm going through a difficult situation, I tend to put my walls up. I tend to go quiet because that's me trying to process things. And it's not the right way to handle things, just keeping it all bottled up. Your community's there and it might be a community of readers, a community of co-workers. There's different types of communities, like in the book, communities of support groups. And then I did a lot of studying research on the 12-step program. And it kept, one of the things it focused on is you can't do it alone. You have to have your support group. If you're having a day that you're struggling, you need someone to reach out to, because trying to do it on your own, sometimes you just make a mess of it.
That's right.
So I'm going to ask this question, and if this is one you just don't want to talk about, we'll talk about whatever you want to. But you've sort of alluded to this, earlier when you said that writers, what was the saying? Writers write not to explain, understand. Right. Did writing this story change your understanding or the way you think about recovery and addiction?
I think so, because with my loved one, we tried to do the hard love. We tried, and it got where it was best. I have to put my children first, and I didn't want my children in the situation, so we put distance there. And I never could figure out the right way of how I should do things, and so one of the biggest takeaways from writing this book is sometimes we just can't fix somebody. Sometimes, but there's one thing we can do, and that's just love someone where they're at.
Right.
Whether they're in a good season of life or a bad season of life, when they're making good choices, bad choices, just love them. In a very inconsistent world that we're living in, be consistent with your love. Don't put mandates on that love. Just love them where they're at.
Right. I think that's a very powerful message.
Yes.
We
might, I know that time is tight. So.
Yeah, it is. I've got my eye on it. I've got two quick questions that are on the lighter note. And one is about the little town where they went to the food festival somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That based on a real place? That's not a real place, right?
That's the ghost town in Lowcountry Lost.
Right.
So that was me bringing them back to that story just a teeny bit. I had such a fun time with those characters, and just like with real life, you got to find the fun where you can find it. And so when I'm writing, I try to work in some fun. And so revisiting that town, and the reason why they named that ghost town somewhere in the book was we've all posed the question, I want to go somewhere. Well, where do you want to go? And so I'm like, well, let's go somewhere. South of somewhere in South Carolina. So it was just a little play on words, and it even kind of like goes back to the title of the book, Somewhere. And that meant, sometimes you're south of where you need to be. And that's where Junie was in this story. She was south of somewhere, but she ended up finding her somewhere by the end of the book.
Right. Well, you did
a great play on words.
It was a great play on words.
Thank you.
One other quick question that if I don't ask this, I will be drawn and quartered or
excommunicated from your own group.
Yes. The tomato and cracker salad recipe, that makes quite an impression on our group. Is this a family recipe, a favorite of yours? I saw it in the book, and I'm going to have to try that.
I just stumbled upon it, and here in the summer, man, we have an abundance of fresh tomatoes, and I recommend doing it with fresh tomatoes from the summer. Don't go get them store-bought tomatoes; they don't have any flavor. But oh my goodness, the first time I tried it, I was blown away. It sounds like it would. Why would it? It's okay, and I made it, and I made a little portion of it because I'm like, I'm not going to waste a lot of good tomatoes on this. And it was so good. And then I made some, I tried my daughter try it. She's like, why is this so good? So it was just a recipe that we fell in love with.
They have one of the things they serve here, and this is the secret of why we keep coming back to the people.
One of the secrets.
I'm gonna have to visit there.
They have these crackers. Hang on. I've got me a to-go box. They bake them. I don't know. They do something.
They look like ordinary saltines.
They look like ordinary saltines. They are not buttery, and they're warm when you first get them. I don't know,
Oh,
but they're delicious. These would be perfect in that.
they would.
We need to make us. We need to get a batch
You
of
have to
these
try it.
and make some of
Wow.
that.
Wow.
Those crackers look good.
They
And I
are.
love a saltine cracker too.
Yeah, me too. But these are exceptional. What I think we
I
need to
bet.
do is when you're in town in September, we need to get together, get us an order
Yes.
of these, and make some of this tomato salad.
Well, there you go.
That sounds good. I'll definitely, be up for that.
Do it. Well, maybe we can come up with an event or something we can all do to give us an excuse to get together and have some fun.
Hey, I'm all for that.
Okay. All right. So tell us quickly what's next for you, because I know you have to run.
Yeah. Well,
Book your
the
work.
next book, I am in the editing, rewriting process. And you ladies know what a Southern goodbye is, right?
Yes.
It's when you're wanting it's time to head out, and you say it's time to head out, and then 30 minutes later you're still talking, and then finally you make it to the front door, you're still talking, and you say again, well, I really need to go this time, and then 30 minutes later you're still talking, and it'll go on until you're on the porch, in the driveway, in the car, backing out with the window down, and you're still talking. And so the name of this book is A Southern Goodbye, and it's actually an aftermath story. There's 3 characters, and it's going to be in 3 different point of views, and it's they're trying to overcome their grief after losing a person that each one of them lose the same person, but it's their journey of grief from it, and how differently a grief journey looks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Now, when is that out?
It will be out fall of 2027.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. All
Absolutely.
right. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
Yes,
This has been a lot of
thank
fun,
you.
and we look forward to
Yeah.
seeing you in September.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me today.
Yeah.
You made me hungry sitting here watching you eat your dessert, and then you pulled out those crackers. I'm gonna sit here and drink a little bit more of my Coke Zero
Next time, we'll all come to the Piedmont.
next time. Mhm.
All right.
All right.
Pleasure to
Y'all
meet
take care. Thank you so much.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.